To do some revision on the gradient of a straight line. Now the gradient is also known as the slope, or we also talk about the steepness of the line. Now if I look at the straight line, we can see that the steepness or the slope is the same just about everywhere. Not just about, definitely everywhere. And to find the gradient, what we say is, we say that we have any 2 points on this line, and we'll make this, any 2 points, make that x2 and y2, and we'll make this point x1 and y1. Okay, so we can see that this distance that we have here will be x2 take away x1 will give me this distance. So this distance here is x2 minus x1. And this distance that this is this distance. And this distance will be y2 and this will be y1, which means that the difference, that difference there is y2 take away y1 will give us that. So that distance is y2 minus y1. Now we say that the gradient, which we indicate with m, we say the gradient is the rise over the run. Another way of showing that is to say it's the change in the rise, that is the rise over the run, is the change in y over the change in x. And that is the change in y. From there to there, it changes y and that change in x. So that will give us y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That is the gradient. Now my gradient can take one of 4 different values. The first one is if my gradient of my graph runs from left to right in that position, this will be a positive gradient. Then I have my gradient coming down from left to right, so my gradient coming down from left to right. So as I read from left to right, my gradient is negative gradient. Then I can also have a gradient which is parallel with the x-axis. That gradient will be 0. There's no slope. There's no slope. And then the last one will be a vertical line. And with this vertical line, we say that the gradient is infinite. There's no, it's an infinite gradient. So the gradient equals infinite. Okay, the reason for that is because the change in x is 0 and I'm not allowed to divide by 0. So that gradient is infinite. That is basically what you have to remember. The only other thing that you might want to consider is that the angle that we make this theta equals the arctan of my gradient. Okay, so theta is the arctan of the gradient, or we can say that the gradient is also the tan of theta. And that is all that you have to remember about the gradient of a straight line.